Welcome back, everybody, to week number 9 of stage 3 of the Quake Pro League, where my name is Ketchup, joined by ZSX today. And the final matchup, it's going to be another heavy-hitting matchup. It seems that we've had a lot of those today, but this time it's going to be the Americas edition. Rapha, it's Dahang, two teammates. They're going head-to-head in the 1v1, and we can always expect a really good match between these two players, especially given the fact that if some players in America are able to take it to Rapha, Dahang is often the one that has historically been able to do it in Quake Champions. But as of recently, ZSX, it has seemed that Rapha is kind of untouchable right now.
Yeah, it definitely feels that the gap's widened considerably. I think in the later years of, well, some of the years in Quake Live and the early years of Quake Champions, it was a lot more back and forth, but I think Rapha now has just become the indomitable force that in Quake Champions, the one to beat. And that means for poor Americans, they're often left reeling in his wake when he comes up against them.
100%. But I think what was really nice about Rapha at IEM Katowice is this ability to really hammer home that it's not just Americas that he's able to defeat, right? It's everyone. So that was a really good
For sure.
for him. And I think there was something, I think he was really out to prove that, to be completely honest. And he obviously more than did that with one of the most dominant Quake Champion performances we have ever seen. But with someone like Dahang, I mean, they have very similar styles, don't they? Because Dahang is extremely methodical. He's often been able to take kind of the first map off Rapha in a series. But it's like we kind of said, as of recently, it has started to, Rapha is just starting to go. And that's almost everyone else seems to be behind. But that's more of a testament to just how like god tier champion status Rapha is currently sitting on. The map picks are always an exciting one. It's going to be double crouch slide for the first map, Ruins of Sarnath, with the slash for Dahang and the Strogan Pika for Rapha. Doomslayer versus Ranger for the Awoken, so two poster boys going head to head. And then Vale of Pnath, Galena versus Keel. We get to see Rapha's Keel on the Vale again. It's always a treat, and I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, I think you have to meet speed with speed a lot of the time. It's such a powerful tool that if you don't have it at your own disposal, you often can get slightly walked over. But one of the strengths that we haven't spoken about with Rapha recently is that he ekes out every minuscule piece of opportunity when it comes to champion matchups and the way in which he adapts his game around not only the champions, but the player he's playing against. And I know that sounds self-explanatory, but it's something that he's been the innovator for, and a lot of other players are still adapting to how to do that. And so if he can keep that progression curve up, he's going to be untouchable for a while yet.
It's just always worth bringing up, really, when it comes to Rapha and Quake Pro League, the elephant in the room, that he is #1 in the world for global rankings with 451 points. For reference, Kilson underneath him has 319. So Rapha's are pretty far ahead as far as the global rankings go, but we'll see if Dahang can bring it to him, or whether this is going to be one of those opportunities for Rapha to just get another victory. I do think of all the players in this side of Pro League that can bring it to him, Dahang is the one to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Dahang has it up his sleeve. He's, as you said, very methodical, stable, consistent. Doesn't often have the, I guess, the cutting edge to finish off Rapha, but will always have the skill set to stay in the duel.
Now I'm checking out Rapha's side first, but this really is going to be a battle of speed with two crouch sliders going at it. Dahang has often got one of the more underrated slashes in the business, in my opinion. Dahang's one of those players that, like, he's not really known for like crazy good execution, but it really is there. Whether it's any champion that has some kind of funky little thing that you need to do that's kind of tricky to get a hold of, Dahang's always one of the first players that you'll see actually kind of come to grips with it and then be able to use it consistently in tournament matches. It's you rarely catch his slash having a bad day, that's for sure. But now Rapha simply in the better position right now. He maintains a level of control, but it's not unchallenged by Dahang. Both players are going to exchange a missed rail, though. As long as Rapha holds this control over the items, he is going to be the one that's more comfortable. Nice little shutdown there for the Pika. Rapha trying so hard to get some bonus damage before he collects the heavy. But the important thing is control remains his.
Yeah, very much is. And obviously with a bigger stack than Slash as well, so that's always going to be painful when they meet. But Dahang's doing a good job of maneuvering around the map and making sure he keeps a good ear on the audio cues to reposition accordingly. But I mean, at this point, it feels like only a matter of time until Rapha makes that pressure count, so Dahang needs to start to get more of a foothold on the map, keep some pressure up. Can't let Rapha just get an uncontested stack.
Dahang finds himself in one of those positions where you need to make something happen soon because Rapha just, oh my, he continues to just run rampant. And the damage is insane. Dahang's going to go down and the first frag is going to be Rapha's. And the dangerous thing is just the level of control he holds at the moment.
Yeah,
he's
the
running
split
both of them.
Is large. So Dahang's going to find it very difficult to try and get any presence on the map without either stringing rails back to back or taking up a very strong presented defensive position in a choke point. And that is a great start.
Woo! Absolutely. Well, yeah, unfortunately for Dahang, gets clipped a little bit. Maybe a bit too close for comfort.
As we talk about quite consistently with Dahang, is that his timing is on point and every decision he makes is always based on item timings, and we can see that is a perfect example of how to do it spot on. Capitalizing on the mega timing perfectly with his speed boost, getting positioned to damage, and then following up with a kill on the heavy as well.
Gonna get more of those rails on Rapha. And there's something you'll often notice about Dahang is that of all the players that play in Pro League, he's probably the player that uses the zoomed in rail the least. It's kind of insane how regularly he just goes for traditional old, just normal old rails, but finds a way to make it work. Not necessarily in that occasion, obviously, as Rapha's going to make this 2-1. Now, how does Dahang recover? He's in a good position for the Mega, trying to shut down, but the concern, as always, is just the lack of armor. That's the difficult thing here. And Rapha able to cut off and really have to make you work for any inch to escape here. Ooh. Wonderful combo. But again, Dahang, it's not the first time he's been able to get a frag on Rapha, but he's been weak afterwards. A big emphasis from him just trying to restack unchallenged if he can. He's in a great position for the Mega. And I love his use of the Plasma Trail just to shut down the whole area, but no! Oh, and that's the icing on the bad cake right there.
Oh, I think he had time to get that Mega as well.
I think so, for sure. And then he just gets immediately shut down by a rail at the same time. That's just bad, really, for Dahang. It's could have been a flame fight and all that.
You can't afford to make it against anyone, never going against Rapha.
Yeah, we've seen time and time again that when Rapha has a lead, how rare it can be that his opponent's actually able to turn the tide at all. Most of the time when Rapha establishes a solid lead, the map is over. Dahang, to his credit, is one of the players that is normally able to kind of really break that streak, but even for Dahang, it's crazy difficult for him, no doubt. And I do fear that we might be on the verge of that happening again because Rapha continues his 4-2 lead. His stack is legendary compared to Dahang's. No way Dahang can survive this fight. There's so much emphasis on just hitting all of those shots, and even when you do, what does it mean? Nothing, because Rapha's stronger.
And I think we always talk about people like Kilson and Tox playing at supreme speed, but just look at Rapha. Up against someone like Dahang, and he's still just going around the map at 1,000,000 miles an hour because he's such an aggressive player in his own right, but also understands the power that speed brings as well.
Can't remember the last time I saw Rapha even close to low, by the way. He's just consistently rocking his control over all the items, right? And not only that, but starving Dahang of any inch to even come close to matching the stack. An uncontested Mega goes through again. There's enough of a delay in between the heavy. Rapha's just gonna let this one rock, perhaps. Yeah, the heavy's gonna go in the position of Dahang, but the Plasma Trail's gone. And yeah, that's Dahang being extra cautious. No thank you.
Dahang's struggling to get out from the heavy at the moment as Rapha's got control over both sides of the high ground.
Well, we're looking. Speaking of control, that's Rapha's entire game. How much damage he was able to pepper out there on Dahang while at the same time controlling that mega. Is Dahang going to drop down and try and contest? Sounds like he's running the circuit upstairs, but the thing with these two crouch sliders is you could have the smallest delay in between heavy and mega, and pretty much both of these champions would be able to snap up both of them if they're going quick enough, which makes this game of control a bit trickier too, because it's a million miles an hour. Ooh, that rockets information more than it is damage. And Rapha's Q to set up for heavy. A nice rocket on the jump down. Should be a free take. Less than 3 minutes left on the clock, and Dahang is just struggling to break the cycle that Rapha has just established. And it just goes back to Rapha. When Rapha has control, when Rapha has established his lead, it just feels like the map is a done deal.
It does. I mean, as you rightly said, Dahang is not able to even deal damage onto Rapha, let alone frag him half the time.
Yeah, when's the last time we saw Rapha without overstack of any kind? It's madness. One of those shots, looks for it, finishes the job. And it's just, yeah, this is going to be a couple of minutes of victory lap, I think, for Rapha. This by all means, is the map finished. Dahang has just completely been unable to establish himself. A lot of that movement has been used to play on the run. Looks for the rail, doesn't quite hit the shot, but by all accounts, this is just Dahang playing runaway, runaway. Sorry, gotten too tongue twisted today. Anyway, Dahang down. I mean, he has to lick his wounds. He has to restack back up. Oh, a bit too predictable on the light armor that Rapha punishes again. Dahang just not allowed to play the video game that he purchased. Even that rocket did 93. This has been a rough one for Dahang. And definitely a bit of just a mental refresh. Forget about it. We have 2 more maps left. But Ruins of Sarnath, I mean, there's just something so Team Liquid about this map. I feel like as long as I can...
itself pretty well to crouch sliding.
I feel like as long as I can remember in Quake Champions, this map has been good for both Rapha and Dahang. And now we have just that map of continuing the inevitable, which is 1000% going to be a victory for Rapha. It's just his control has been almost completely perfect here. And Dahang, he's had no footing. The second Rapha even catches sight, the second he catches sight of where Dahang is, he just makes his life miserable. You're not allowed to pick that up. You're not allowed to get that armor. That belongs to me. You take a single light armor and I rail you immediately to shut you down. Oh, you want that as well? Nice. I want to get you for that. Like, what can Dahang even take?
Dahang's had 3 heavies and 4 megas. And this is Dahang we're talking about. Someone who consistently gets top 4, top 8 in tournaments.
Rapha just making it look easy for map number 1. 14-2 is one hell of a way to start things off. But Rapha is going to make it happen. And, I mean, that's Rapha. At the end of the day, that is, I mean, the damage was pretty much a flat 1,000 damage above Dahang there. 16 heavies versus Dahang's 3. 14 megas versus Dahang's 4. Like, the only thing Dahang got more of was light armor. But, like...
not by a huge amount either.
That was, for lack of a better term, ZSX, a good game for Rapha. But fundamentally, it just comes down to what we see almost every time Rapha plays now is when he locks himself in. You know, there's always a period. There's always a period in the map where Rapha will climb to reach that point. But once he gets there, I seriously, and especially in a competitive setting, I can't recall the last time he sunk in a solid lead. Like the moment the lead became his, that he then lost the lead.
Part of that is down to the way in which he thinks about the picks as well, as we spoke about a little bit, is that sometimes you find these matchups where there is a imbalance in some way, shape or form, and it can either favor you or be a detriment to you. It depends on how the map is swinging. But if you always have this even keel, as if you don't have the speed discrepancy or real stack discrepancy, etc., etc., then the picks, then it's almost down to you a lot of the time. Whether if you don't mess up, then how are you meant to get back into the game as an opponent?
Yeah, I mean, I just look at the picks that we have here so far. We're loading into Awoken now, so they're moments away from that. But even on this map, the Doomslayer versus the Ranger, they're very even in their ability to just take damage, and obviously Doomslayer is going to have more of that immediate maneuverability. But you can put yourself in a position where you can prepare for the dire orb push, or those situations Ranger would try and force himself away. Even on Vale, bit of a different story probably in that regard, because his keel is, again, like we talk about players that use specific champions or characters, whatever it might be, that are just very dominant on certain picks. Rapha's keel on Vale is another one of those examples I'll use. So that's very much like a Rapha thing. But we're loading into Awoken now.
Fight.
Let's go. Let's see if Dahang's able to get a footing here, or whether Rapha's just going to continue the hot streak. Ooh, that's some immediate tri-bolt just out of nowhere, especially seeing as Rapha doesn't actually have a rocket launcher yet. Absolutely making the best with what he has in that regard. I'm loving this kind of just back and forth motion. Rapha, again, just sitting on a much bigger stack. Some opening rockets coming out from Dahang, but it's that strength of the Doomslayer, the double jump around the corner to put it down. But that was a push from Dahang. Okay, he's given himself a lead. The question is, can he sit on it?
Missed 2 easy rails. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, Rapha's been able to establish himself straight back into the middle of the map, at least. All about trying to gather some of that immediate information. But actually, look at the divide between Mega and Heavy. It's basically non-existent. So we're going to get a good old trade situation here. Rapha's been able to get himself all of the weapons. Gets the immediate surprise on Dahang, but not before Dahang's able to return the favor. A direct 100 before the teleport. Hang on a minute. Dahang's opportunity, SSG. Wonderful choice. And it just comes down to the numbers. He's not the accountant for nothing, right? Dahang, if he'll know what your stack is, he'll know what the timings are. That SSG was just a perfect example of that. The man plays on numbers. Oops. Yeah, Rapha needs to back up and disengage. Gets a rail. Tries to stop the bleeding with one of those lights, but in fact, both players kind of trading light armor situations here. Opening rocket damage is information for Rapha, a green light to teleport. As now the Mega appears, looks like it's in fact Dahang trying to establish the presence.
Yeah, Rapha's, as you say, regained good control of the map so far, at least through positioning. And with that rail, does have now the stack advantage, picking up a clean Mega. But Dahang's doing a good job keeping a slow tempo. Doesn't want to get drawn into Rapha's wall.
Very consistently, Rapha trying to look for one of those angles, but Dahang rarely giving it to him at the moment. And more of the patient game. Looks like Rapha once more doesn't have a clear idea of where Dahang is. Ooh, got the reactionary rail near teleporter though. The moment he caught a whiff of Dahang, that rail comes through. But the stack difference is legendary again. Massive. But the significant difference about Rapha having this stack is that now he's not the one that really is dictating. He's not the one that's in the lead. Dahang will simply allow some of these. As long as he keeps the timing, that really is all he's after. Battle for the light.
Nice.
Jump down towards the light, actually. Wonderful play. Oops. Excuse me. All right, the Mega's been somewhat lessened by that rail. Here we go now. Rapha being aggressive, choosing to push. He's getting a ton of damage on the LG. I wonder, though, Dahang, even if he landed that rail, Rapha would have still been alive. It would have been harder for him to push for the Mega, though, if he had a crazy low stack. But that's half of the work done to tie things up. Dire Orb push from Dahang. Really tried to go all or nothing in that kind of encounter. If you're not going to escape, you may as well try and get as much damage as possible. But it's given Rapha the lead. And now he's pressuring. He's pressing. He lands the initial rail. He just needs one more clear shot, and he's going to be a 3-2. Dahang is frighteningly low at this stage.
And the pressure's been mounting for the last few minutes. Rapha's had almost complete control, and Dahang's been caught out a few times now as Rapha's aim is also beginning to click a little bit more.
5-minute warning.
Oh, the stack. It has been a game of crazy stack all the way through. And a big part of that as well always plays into the hands of a talented Doom usage. That double jump just lets you go wherever you want, but Rapha has just had such a clean cycle around this map for so long. That rail. Again, I mean, Heavy's going to spawn, right? And Dahang's weak. Rapha can just feel free to take this. Nothing's going to stop him. He can't. Wonderful rail. Better than nothing. Has to be very careful here, though. Dahang's going to try and push forward a little bit and get some damage on the table.
Oh.
Just a matter of stacks all the time. Dahang, he decides to teleport, and he gets the frag! He takes tons of damage, and Mega is a fair while away. I wonder what Dahang's going to be able to get from this. All things considered, he did not take a massive amount of damage there.
No, like Rapha's execution was poor.
He's in a better position for the Mega at the very least, and now Rapha's about to get his hands on a rail. What does Dahang get from this? He's having to work extremely hard to break down this stack. It's going to be tricky in this fight. Dahang doesn't have a Dire Orb, especially after a rail like that. That's the go-ahead. Rapha can go in if he wants, or at least start to force the issue. He forces Dahang to jump down. Oh, the execution, though. The execution Zertex has really not been Rapha's friend this map.
He did it.
The man of numbers.
Son of a bitch.
The man of numbers. That's it. That's what it's all about. Perfect timing. It's insane. And oh my god, what was also insane was that tri-bolt. But it's insane how Dahang, in the most stressful of situations, can still be so surgically down to that time.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it.
And somehow he's managed to keep in this game despite being on the back foot for the vast majority of it.
Oh, he
He
teleports.
missed the rail that time.
Oh, the all or nothing play. So close. Hasn't resulted in the world's biggest loss, though. He did go down when there's a pretty chunky amount of time in between the items.
Dangerous pushing in here. He's got no orb, he's got no rocket. Yeah, and he should be annoyed by that.
Armor's going to get taken as well. Looking to get those rails to hang. Has to be very careful here. He's dangerously close to things just slipping through his fingers, unfortunately. Rapha consistently sitting on more armor. Almost every time you see them, he's got more armor. Heavy's next on the agenda. Are they going to go for it immediately? Rapha with a denial. Looks like both players have the same idea. The immediate use of the Dire Orb, unfortunately, did basically no damage. And Rapha with the perfect read. He just knows where Dahang's going to try and retreat to. That was one missed rail short of being a perfect chase down. He's going to push in with the LG now and shut that one down. Unfortunately for Dahang, I do worry that we've reached that point again. Because Dahang's just spawned. He's only got a rail here. Rapha can afford to take a rail. He doesn't have to care about this.
Yeah, Rapha abusing his stack advantage now. And in all honesty, like, that was Dahang's game. A couple of weird mistakes where he was going in hyper aggressive with the rail only.
Coming at you. Warning.
He's quite weak. We have 1 minute, and if Dahang can secure a frag about now, he still has a chance. The danger is these rails from Rapha are just consistently landing. And the danger is, even if Dahang gets a frag now, it's about what he does afterwards. Can he get a frag afterwards? I do not believe so. There's 40 seconds left to go. Dahang does manage to spring a trap, but that direct. But, I mean, part of the job is done.
He's definitely got time.
He's got one of the light armors too. He could be weaker. Looks for the shot. Does he teleport? Oh no, the trade! The trade! Who's gonna get the spawn? Rapha gets the rocket spawn. I fear that's bad news. I fear very much that's bad news.
No way.
It's used. Oh, the dire orb was gone.
No.
The dire orb was gone, and Rapha spawned closer to the rocket. That's a heartbreaker.
So unlucky.
You win.
I really try and avoid using that word anywhere I can, but at the end, that was the lucky spawn. I mean, Rapha was closer to the rocket. Dahang had to try and push forward and establish some nail damage because it's literally all he had. And because the last fight resulted in a trade, there was no dire orb to be that extra piece of burst. It all came down to just an unfortunate way to end things, really.
I mean, on the one hand, I don't know how Dahang kept in that game for so long.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I feel for him because it was his game to win in the end.
It's right there. You just had to
Yeah, so close.
grab it.
But then Rapha is mortal.
Even gods bleed.
Apparently so.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. But fundamentally, like, this is why, although Rapha is incredibly dominant, and he's currently the most dominant player we have in Quake Pro League, whenever he goes against Dahang, there's always that small bit of you that looks at it and goes, maybe Dahang can do it this time. Because so few players are even really able to bring Rapha to that much of like a brink, you know, the last possible minute.
Yeah.
And Dahang is one of the players that can consistently push Rapha to that limit. And even though that map didn't go his favor, like there were powers at the end that just did not favor Dahang when we're talking about spawns. They both went for rocket, and Rapha spawned closer, and he got opening rocket damage. That's really all there was to it. It's why Dahang is always held in that esteem, because he has what it takes. It's just that was a bit of a tragic map, I think. I really think that was bit of a sad boy hours. But we're going into our final map now, Vale of Pnath. I believe Rapha might be going for a restart or something.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's going for a game restart. I wondered why he went out. But we should see the keel coming out. Let me just refresh. We should see the keel, which is that's I'm always excited to see Rapha pick keel on this map because it's just one of those game plan picks, you know, where it's I'm on this map, okay, I'm picking this champion then. And Rapha was one of the first players that kind of put those together as like an efficient combo.
An item.
Yeah, you just love seeing it. I mean, I don't know whether I'd love to know actually. I've never really. It's something that I guess never really gets talked about too much. But players that are really able to put part of their personality into a champion or something that they become known for, you know, like Rapha using the keel on Vale. Like it's just there's something so personal about it, and the idea of the 1v1 that there's something personal about the whole experience because you're rooting for someone, right?
Skin is glamorous.
I know. He's rocking the sort of pink and green moving
like the
skin.
Ninja Turtle skin almost.
It does look a little bit like it, you know. Yeah.
That is so cool.
I mean, I guess it's appropriate for Vale though because there's green stuff everywhere that's pretty much the same color.
Yeah, I enjoy that skin.
Dahang might not. It depends on how things go. I mean, one of the reasons that we see Rapha pick keel on this map so often is because he's very hard to beat on it. You know, there's really nothing else you can really say about it. His grenade placements are fantastic. The utility combined with the damage of the grenades work wonders. He is not shy of going 1,000 miles an hour, crazy aggressive, and Keel simply lets him accomplish all those things. And then you have the natural bonus of, hey, he's a big champion on a map where big champions are meta as hell. There's also that element. So
Yeah, there's so many good reasons to pick it on this map, but Grading is also equally as strong. With Keel, you can just build in an extremely strong stack, maintain high ground position, lots of choke points to spam your grenades, not a huge amount of area patrol, so the speed isn't a big issue on this map. Whereas Galena, obviously, totems are super strong no matter what. Particularly through the teleporter again, you can do set up a camp. And it's also a relatively easy map to get all 3 totems up because there's just so many good positions to put them in.
Right, we are loading into our final map. It's going to be Vale of Pnath Dahang versus Rapha. An opportunity for Dahang to maybe get a map here. He was so close, but so far on map number 2. Vale of Pnath, though, is a different beast entirely, especially with Rapha and Keel behind the wheel. Here comes the initial breakout fight. Neither player wants to overpush too hard yet. Rapha does, in fact, though, have access to all the important weapons, LG in hand, with plenty of cells to make the damage happen. He pushes through the teleporter, but he does no damage to count. But he takes a rail himself, and that's something to worry about. Goes in for that little 2-piece combo. You do see Kill players. They try and almost like simultaneously fire a grenade and a rocket at the same time. So good for spamming around corners. But in this case, Dahang is going to score first blood and get that first frag. He gets the first frag, but always keep your eyes glued to the stack that Rapha spawned in with. It's why heavy champions are so insanely better on this map. Ooh! That was the minefield right there, but somehow that is why Rapha picks Q on this map. Did you see that damage?
So good.
The fact that Rapha can just pull out damage like that from his backside is a perfect example, really, of why he not only picks Q on this map, but why he has such a high success rate with this champion. He can just delete health so insanely fast. A map entirely built of tight corridors and situations of which you can't dodge the grenades anymore. He's going to jump down towards Heavy and extend the stack. I tried to take
a lot of damage there. The hanger's rocket out of the teleporter doesn't follow up his... Wow. There's a few occasions where Dahang's aim has just been a little bit off today.
Always going to be quite surprising for these larger champions because they are, historically easier to hit. The danger is Dahang's accuracy may not be 100%, but Rapha's is on point, which is a dangerous mix. He is finding these ridiculous angles, these ridiculous shots. And he has the biggest stack. So if Dahang's not able to repay that in kind, he just can't compete. The shutdown. And the grenades once more. No rocket needed. They have the same, similar knockback properties. That was enough to knock Dahang into a world of hurt and set up some guaranteed LG. Rapha is going to push forward. Yes, he will. Nothing to worry about. Kills 2 birds with 1 stone in this regard. Oh, so much damage. He swaps the LG, but doesn't overextend. Mega, more important. Heavy hasn't spawned yet. So this is a good situation for Rapha, trying to pick his angle. Dahang hits a good shot. Rapha still railable. No longer, though, with 100 HP. And now with that light armor spawning at the same time. Unfortunately now, though, 1 rail will do it. The Tri-Bolt's going to be pretty good, but not enough to deter Dahang from getting access to that heavy.
Dahang's doing a great job so far of putting out a huge amount of damage onto Rapha.
Wonderful use of the rail. Looking for the rail. Rapha goes in for the rail. At the last second, there's a rocket from Dahang. Nicely placed. Sounds like he got the mega at the same time, so he's got decent stack. And stack's what you're going to need when a heavy's fresh off spawn. Bit of a risk for Dahang to take that heavy, but by all means, you cannot allow Keel to take it.
Another reason why, as you say, heavy champions are so strong on this map, because it's so easy to get weapons to get back in the action.
Totems being shut down, always a good shout. Might not always have the time to deal with those, but if you can, always going to be worth it to shut down that retreat. Dahang Access to the Mega, though, which is really important. And again, just hitting those rails to shut down any ounce of a lead Rapha's able to build for himself here. High ground's going to belong to Dahang, and now it's going to be risky. Jumps down and takes a lot of damage. Wow! Forced into the teleporter. Well, there was a totem lying in wait, but he's fresh off the stack. Yeah, I totally understand Dahang like sitting there and waiting for the angle, because this is the classic Vale. When a really high stack champion catches you in your weak, but yet Dahang finds another frag just in time for Heavy as well.
Here come the fireworks.
Yeah, he's only going to spawn near the LG, so Rapha hasn't actually got much to fight back with, and even Dahang is looking to head him off towards the rail! Gets it twice! What a call out.
Death is the only release. I will not grant you that privilege.
Ah, these rockets. Dahang's whole business around Rapha's movement has been top-notch. Throughout the course of this map, these rockets are, I mean, they've been doing so much work, haven't they? That misrail might be somewhat of an opening for damage for Rapha, but it looks like he's not really able to repay it himself. Another missed rail. Information totem, but it's a totem that Rapha knows he has to take, because taking the totem damage and then a Mega is far more important. Dahang brings the attack. Hang on a minute. Oh no, the health totem and the fact there's no armor. Dahang looks for the rail. That would have absolutely been a kill shot at 67 HP, but not today. It's even more damage out there. The damage isn't getting the frags, and frags are what he needs at this stage. Rapha has to be very careful again. 77 HP. He is railable, and Dahang is looking for it. A rocket wonderfully placed near the light. He gets the perfect call out, but he's taking even more damage.
No way.
That revenge. The fact that Rapha even found that frag is insane to me.
Unrelenting from both players here.
Fire in the hole.
More grenades, but no damage. Dahang able to take this, denying the heavy. Even if Rapha goes down here, shutting down the heavy from Dahang is so important in this situation. Rapha weak again, but he knows he has the clock to work with. A couple of frags is totally doable, especially if you can spawn with a good stack. Dahang's looking for the angle. Cheeky. Oh, wow. More of these defensive rails. Always quite scary going for those defensive rails, because if someone's going fast enough and they chase you, I mean, the damage isn't going to stop them from being relentless, which we know Rapha can be, especially with a stack like this. He gets hit by a rail right now, he will not care in any way, shape, or form. Springs the attack, catches Dahang in a really unfavorable position, yet Dahang finds a way!
There is no way I imagined he survived that.
Scary position now, though. Rapha trying to cover both angles. Taking a lot of damage in the meantime. Dahang sitting on a lead, though. Rapha totally not afraid of taking that totem damage with the amount of stack he had to work with and a Mega in hand. I mean, come on. Nice rail. Dahang. Fresh off the spawn means he's only going to have a rail. He didn't have time to reach LG. But Rapha, still weak. So we can't be too confident. Oh, good shot. Oh, good shot again, ×2.
Dahang is having to hit everything to stay in this game at the moment, and luckily for him, he is.
Wow. I almost feel bad for saying that he's missed quite a few shots at the start of the game, because he isn't anymore.
Yeah, that was a bit risky. He knew Rapha was going to drop, try to set up a trap, but when you've got a super stacked keel closing the gap on you, you just need to run it.
A minute and a half left on the clock. Rapha with a big stack. 10 seconds until Mega. 3 seconds until Heavy, actually, so that's going to be the next objective here. They do trade rail for rail, but that's not going to benefit Dahang in this position. If we're talking about health, anyway. He does, of course, have the lead. But playing a runaway game on a map this small can be a very scary game, but it's a game that Dahang is looking to take on board.
Once again, it's working, but it means he is having to hit every single rail. If he missed one rail there, he was probably dead himself. If he catches Rapha here, this could be a game.
Oh, but no!
Oh, there's grenades!
Hits the shot, misses the rail!
Oh my god.
And he misses 2 rails! The fact that Rapha missed those shots might be the game ender. I can't believe either players are still alive right now. What is going on, Dan?
I don't know. I'm scared.
Rapha, the pressure's on. You have 30 seconds, mate. 2 frags. And Dahang is playing optimal runaway.
Here's all
Rapha
he
needs
can
to
do.
find. He has to find him before he can even start shooting. Oh, he can't catch him. Rapha tries to head him off. The rocket jump near the teleporter,
missed
but
the
guess
jump.
what? Dahang's already gone.
And he's won it. Dahang.
The map, the final map of the day, is going to go to Dahang. And I will be honest, I'm kind of almost sad about that because Dahang was so close to winning the last map.
I know, it could have been a 2-1 to Dahang.
Man, what a message that would have sent. I mean, I'm sorry in advance if anyone feels like I am taking away from that map victory. I promise I don't mean to. That was a great map. And Dahang, he fought tooth and nail for it and he deserved it, right? Happy that he got that map because, again, it's why Dahang is often seen as someone that maybe they could bring it to Rapha on a good day. Because, I mean, come on, he just took a map. And the last map could have been his as well, if not for a couple of small little errors that were uncharacteristic of Dahang. I just feel kind of sad that this could have been a 2-1 day. And instead, the 2-1 is in the favor of Dahang, which, of Rapha, which is the more predictable result. But either way, that was a damn good series.
That was incredible. I
Oh,
think it might even beat out the Razy Wenger series as the best series of the day.
it's almost like when training partners go head to head, good things happen. But I mean, if we were to try and break down and digest that, there was a massive amount of pressure and expectation on Dahang's aim on this map. You know, Rapha is going to go, pretty balls to the wall in that regard. Like he's going to go all damage. He's going to rely on his massive stack. His grenade usage. I mean, that's why his keel is so insanely strong on that map because his grenades are just next level. They are beyond almost anything we see from other keel players. And Dahang was able to take it to him because he hit just as many shots, if not more, in critical locations. And that's why he won.
Yeah, no, it was just a great series around. And as you say, the pressure was on Dahang in his aim. He was up to the task. He also made sure he didn't take any truly one-sided fights. He tried to keep Rapha at some degree of range as much as he could, and he played it perfectly.
But I mean, to take away from today, I think it's certainly been a day that hasn't disappointed. I know that back end, we're working on just updating the schedule and the rankings and all that good stuff. So we'll be able to fill you in with what today has actually meant in a few minutes' time. But if we were to just immediately just spitball what's been going on, I mean, a whole bunch of close games and a whole bunch of close maps, a decent chunk of 2-1s. And I guess this is almost expected when you kind of bring on the magnitude of the matches we've had today. There's been so many Titans going head to head or players that are this close on the leaderboards having to play each other instead. Overall, it was a great day.
It was a great day. And I think, interestingly, there was nothing that came my way that I was surprised by. It all went according to plan. I think the quality and the standard was the highest today that I've seen it. There wasn't any single pairing or player that didn't live up to the way in which I would have expected them to play, and most of them surpassed it. Even thinking back to someone like Sparty in the first of the day, played so well against Cypher. So overall, it was exciting times for the next stage of the series.
And it's how some of these maps I think went through and what they meant for some of the players too. We had the players that were deadlocked. An opportunity for Zanaku came so close as well a couple of times, but Chain looking better than ever. The Nosfa versus Effortless, like how close was that? Tox versus Base, that was just a great display all round. It kind of just continues to be what I think we expected it to be. But I believe we should have the updated schedule, so we can see what the action meant and the results. Let me just quickly bring it up my end. But yeah, I mean, just to continue what we were even talking about, it's been a day of good games, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, we expected a good day and we got a good day.
Just bringing up my side. There we go. But yeah, fundamentally, we are super close to the end of stage 3. And that's what we're reaching a point now where I think we're all we're anticipating what stage 3 is actually going to mean for the players, because there's obviously the factor of, due to the worldwide situation, just to obviously fill in everyone on what's going on, due to the worldwide COVID-19 situation, the stage 3 finals are going to be online. So this exact setting, that you can see, that's going to be the stage 3 finals. It's just the matches are going to mean more than ever at this point, which does introduce, do we think that there's going to be now, there is no, oh, we'll just see how we play on LAN factor that understandably comes from a lot of players. That's not here for stage 3. So what do you reckon, Zetasex? Do you think this might even give certain players more of an edge? Do you think we have a higher chance of seeing a new champion? Or
I mean, it definitely throws everything up into the air, because I'm not sure the dynamics or logistics of how even server selection will work, etc. Because if you've got a Rapha going up against a cooler, like how do you even that out across the best of 3? So there's unfortunately, I mean, it's the way it needs to be, and that's understandable. But unfortunately, for this type of game in particular, it throws up so many new dynamics that it's almost impossible to say who's going to win. At the end of the day, raw skills should hopefully shine through, but it's just something we need to account for.
Yeah, there's also the element of, the inevitability, I suppose, of the Americas going head to head versus Europe in CIS. I will admit, I'm curious. I'm curious to really kind of just see what it all adds up to, I suppose. But I mean, week number 10, I'm going to be honest. I think week number 10, there is quite a big, week 10 has shoes to fill after today. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
it does.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, today was the best week I've seen. So kudos for everyone that tuned in for the whole thing. I don't think I had a single series that let us down.
I think it's been a fun day all round, and it's just one of those things, I suppose, where I've obviously got to give huge shouts to everyone involved in Pro League right now, all the players that are being amazing sports, and continuing to compete from home, of course. But we're all having to go through different circumstances, absolutely more stressful circumstances. I mean, we're at home, right? That's where we are, and we're staying safe and all that good stuff. But of course, there's the hard-working people doing the production behind the scenes on the weekly basis as well. The show doesn't exist without them. You know what I mean? And that's just going to continue throughout the course of stage 3. And they always say the show must go on, right? Just want to confirm. I don't know if we have I might have to break the fourth wall and ask about, do we have world rankings, or are we? All right. Oh, do we have everything good to go, or are we good to sign off? Hey. All right. So we can show the end of show bits and bobs to really say that where today has actually led us and where it's taken us. Sorry, still getting used to the home environment. But yeah, I mean, what can we really say about the matches that hasn't already been said? There's been some real sort of standout performances. I mean, for me, the heartbreak of the day was how close Dahang was to actually defeating Rapha. You know what I mean? Like, I think that this totally could have been a 2-1 Dahang day, but just wasn't meant to be, apparently.
I think there were quite a few matches like that. Cypher Sparty, I believe,
Yeah.
was also incredibly close. Razy Venga. So virtually every single matchup we saw today that went 2-1 could have probably swung the other way on another time.
Yeah, I mean, it's even looking at these results, just a fair few 2-1s. We saw the Cypher versus Sparty being a 2-1. Zanaku versus Chain. I mean, there were certainly some signs of life from Zanaku, but
Yeah.
I mean, Chain is one of the biggest up-and-comers currently for a damn good reason, hence the 3-0. And I think he's going to be happy getting a 3-0 himself. Not for an effortless, literally down to the final wire, Tox and Base. Tox had those map 1 woes due to headset issues and resolved them eventually, but you know what? That ain't Base's problem. He's going to get a 2-1 all the same because he played incredibly well today.
No, he really did stand out. And I think we've said so many times, the standard seems to be growing every single week, and that's why all of these series are getting closer and closer and closer.
Just look at the change of schedule. Dewey versus Dramas, 2-1. Then Razy. I mean, even that was pretty ridiculous up until the last moments. 2-1. Cooler versus Kilson. Guess what? 2-1. And then, of course, the heavy hitter at the final moment, which so close to being a 2-1 in the opposite direction. But I mean, come on, Rapha's the champ for a reason.
He showed his prowess, but it was a really impressive display by Dahang under testing circumstances with the keel running at you.
I mean, I can imagine that being quite intimidating. You know what I mean?
I would be pretty
the
scared.
the reality is, it's just when you bring this element to like Quake Pro League, there are certain champion combinations that are quite hard to execute. You know, one of the big ones being like Clutch, right? Where these top level players can make it look really easy, but it's definitely not. I think Keel's another one of those because I mean, Keel kind of suffers those same weaknesses that Clutch does, where he's a big lad, right? He's easy to hit. And then you combine the fact that Dahang was just hitting pretty much everything on that final map. That there's a lot of pressure on you to make sure that the picks you've gone with are there for a reason and it's worked out. You're not wasting a slot by just being easy to hit and then you're missing all your shots. There's no point, which is why these picks become a lot more situational. But for someone like Rapha, it's fine. It's no big deal.
Completely true.
Now, after today's results, though, I'm very curious to see what the global leaderboards look like because some of the more, I guess, like impactful matches and the maps that we've gone through, like, you know, the big ones like the Dramas versus Dewey situation where they were right next to each other on the leaderboards. Very curious to see where they are going to be located now. But we're now moving towards the stage 3 finals happen. We've had our challenges too. You know, we have players like Garpy, I believe Garpy and CNZ. That was a pretty insane sort of like challenges run. Congratulations to Garpy for we'll be seeing you again very, very soon. But relegations. I mean, we're so close to hitting our relegation matches, and do we think we're going to have more like new blood or returning blood into stage 4, or are our players likely to defend their territory? What do you think?
I mean, Scorpion Sinzi, that's two big names right there. Two players that could well easily stake their claim for mid-table Pro League, let alone just scraping through. I would definitely expect to see some new blood coming in.
I feel like it's just one of those things that we're anticipating and looking forward to. But either way, I believe that should be all we have time for. I just want to say again, just a huge thank you to everyone for tuning in. It's been a real one today. I mean, just checking out the scores. I mean, 2-1s all round. I think we were hoping and expecting a good day, and we definitely got it.
Yeah, I like we thought today would be amazing, and it really has lived up to the hype. I am fortunate I got here to cast it. Unfortunately, not here next week, but that's the way it goes.
Well, it's been a long day, and depending on where you are in the world, you're going to go to bed, you're going to have some dinner, maybe you're going to have some breakfast. It depends on where you live. But again, thank you all so much for watching. This was week number 9 of stage 3 of the Quake Pro League. My name has been Ketchup, joined by the very wonderful ZSX. Last final shouts and thank you to the hardworking production folks during this difficult time. Stay safe, much love, and we'll see you next week. Take care.